Good evening. Welcome to this edition of Morgan the Asked For podcast, July 30th, just after 9 o'clock. We're just about ready to flip to another month, which is the month that football starts, school starts, everybody gets back to normal, and summer is essentially over for me. Golf starts. I go on vacation for a week, and then golf and school start. So truly I have tomorrow and Friday as days that I'm here in Oskaloosa at home before my life goes back to normal.
Yeah, it's getting close, isn't it? How was, I know we spoke before we got on. How was the trip to Carroll? What did you guys do? Who won the golf? Who did well?
Zach won, I believe, by 2. He was up 1 going into the last hole, and I think he beat Tass by 1 shot on that hole as well. So I think on the 36 holes that we did for the money games and everything, Zach won by 2, I believe. And then Muggsy and I were several shots behind that. I don't know exactly how we finished for sure, but those two were close, and Travis and I were just a little behind. And then Brett, one of TJ's friends that plays with us each year, he was a little bit behind that. We're just going to say that. But good times had by all. Obviously, I see TJ about once, maybe twice a year. I mean, it's kind of it's a ways up there. It's longer than you think, all the way. And then there's some road construction on the way, so you go there and back. And actually didn't go through my hometown, but went closer and went through some towns and stuff that I played baseball in and basketball in and football in and golf. Just they were conference, Coon Rapids Bayard school district there. Just right next, Yale and Jamaica and Bagley and then obviously, through Perry and Grimes and stuff. So just kind of came that way. It's just always good. It was super hot. I actually don't think it was as hot yesterday as like Sunday, Monday. I know Sunday Zach won his club championship in Sigourney, and TJ, he didn't win it this year. He's won it before, but he was in the final group, I believe. And they both said Sunday was way worse on being how hot it was during the day. So it rained both days there. That's kind of, I'm going to name this podcast, is this Iowa or a rainforest? I don't know what it's been like out west, but it has been 95 degrees and humid and rains every day this month. I saw where even, if it rains tonight or any tomorrow, we've already passed in Des Moines the most rain ever in the month of July.
Yeah, I've seen it's been raining there almost every day. It feels like
humid, and a lot.
And it's not been bad out here. It's been warm, but nothing like you guys have there in Iowa in the Midwest. A little disappointed in Tass though for letting Zach take him down on his home course.
Yeah, it was. Tass played. He had a few holes where he took a lot of money from us. I should have just quit after one hole. I had about a 4-footer for birdie to win the hole, and I missed it. I should have just left right then. I knew the day was not good. I mean, I didn't play horrible, but I definitely didn't play well.
Yeah, and Zach's been playing good golf too. He played pretty good there in Oski at Edmondson, and it sounds like they're with you guys, and then obviously in Sigourney. So it sounds like Zach's game's right now.
Yeah, he played. I think he was. I know after the first 18, I don't know how it finished up. I think he was just 1 or 2 over, and I'm assuming he shot right about that the next 18 as well. So yeah, we ended up playing 41 holes. So, and then we went to the pool for a little bit. His friend Brett has a backyard indoor ground pool and everything with the slide and diving board. So, but then it was going to storm. There was lightning and stuff. So we got out of the pool and went and ate dinner, and then went back. And you know how it is with boys. You sit around and you listen to music and you talk and you solve the world's problems till 1:30 in the morning or whatever it was.
Solve the world's problems. That's right.
Yep.
Figure out all the solutions to our problems. Right.
Yep. And it's we try to do this every year. we've done it in the past where we go to the Ozarks or whatever, but this is just kind of a neat thing. We all like playing golf, get together with people you don't see every time. And, kind of as we ended last podcast, just remembering people and stuff. It's just another reminder, spend time with people you care about and you want to be around and enjoy, and maybe you don't see every day. It's always a good refresher and able to do that.
Our friend Mike Foster's actually been in Hawaii, so he was there last night for the tsunami warning that they had, and he was sending some videos, and he said it didn't end up being too bad, but when that earthquake hit, they had all afternoon to kind of prepare. So I was all night and afternoon I was kind of watching the TV, seeing what was going on. That had to be scary at first, but it ended up like he said, not being too bad. So he was fortunate that nothing bad happened with him or his family. It sounds like they're getting ready to hop on their flight now on the way back home. But yeah, that would be, you got all afternoon to wait for something like that. You'd be wondering how bad is it going to be? If it is bad, how soon can we fly home? I'd be a little bit nerve-wracking for sure.
Well, then especially for us Midwesterners, we're not used to being by the ocean and what that, obviously it isn't the first tsunami warning or anything that was coming for Hawaii ever. But as a Midwest, long ways away from an ocean, and then again, if it would go high enough to ruin the airport, when you're stuck there, it's not just, we'll wait till the storm blows through. If there's damage and stuff, you're not getting out of there.
Yeah, he said they were on the 8th floor, so they were up high enough. If there was flooding, they'd be okay. But he went to Safeway, which is a grocery store out west, bought some supplies just in case they were going to be stuck in their hotel room. But thankfully, it wasn't too bad, and it sounds like they're going to be heading home here soon.
Good. Hawaii's a place I think my mom and dad are going to head there relatively soon. They want to get out there, and I know I believe Tyler and Paige are going to go with them. Tyler's big into World War II and like Pearl Harbor and stuff. So I don't think my mom and dad could go there without taking him. I don't know if it's been set yet, but I would say within the next year or so, they're probably going to do that. I'd like to go too. It just depends on when they go. So.
Yeah, they got to take him, and if they're not going to, he's got to force them, make him feel bad, and make him take him on the trip.
Yeah. So, nope, very good. Just again, I just want to thank people for listening, subscribing. I know I saw on Steve Shetler's thing. I was, I just scroll through and it comes up on your Facebook or whatever page, and I saw there was like 640 views or whatever, which I don't know how many we get usually, but I would say that's pretty good. So. Thank you for everybody that watches that or listens to that, and then all of our other platforms and everything. And again, just I encourage you to, subscribe to it, like it, share it with your friends and family. One platform that I'd like to do a little bit better on is YouTube, because that's the one where if you are watching us live right now on YouTube, and I think 6 people are watching us live, but nobody on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you can make comments and stuff and we can see it live. The others, I haven't figured out how to do that. And I think some of it is you pay for different, professional, whatever it is. And I don't know how to do all that. So, but if you do watch us live right now on YouTube or any going forward, you can comment live and we can see it up on the right side of our screen here, a little bit behind Inside Baseball per se. But it does come right up on our screen there. So if you want to go to YouTube and watch, you can comment and you can ask questions, anything else like that, and we can get to you live on the air. So, and then obviously on YouTube, if you like it and subscribe to it, it'll come up. Most of us all watch YouTube. You get that algorithm going, and it'll come up every time we're up.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. And real quick before we get started on topics, I know I text you a quick correction from last week's episode. I know I said the Fever had to be in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference. Silly me, the conference standings don't matter for the WNBA playoffs. They just take the top 8 overall. So the Fever, they won again tonight. They won 3 or 4, which is good, but they're in 6th place right now out of 8.
Okay.
So they would be in the playoffs, and they want to avoid that 7 or 8 spot, because then you'd be playing Minnesota or New York as of right now. So 6 is a pretty good spot for them to be. But just a correction of last week, they're going to take the top 8 records overall, regardless of conference.
So why would they split into East and West if it doesn't matter? I guess would be the.
I didn't have enough time to read into it.
Scheduling
the West has an extra team right now with Golden State, so maybe that's why, because they're off. I'd have to confirm that, but anyway, it's the top 8 teams. It doesn't matter where you stand in the conference as far as making it. So the good news is, though, they've won 3 of 4. They're looking good. They beat Phoenix tonight. DeWanna Bonner's little homecoming, if you want to call it. She only had 4 points. I think she played a good amount of minutes too. So that's kind of nice to get a victory over her for her quitting on the team. But they're playing well. If they can continue to win 3 out of 4, there's no reason to rush Caitlin back yet.
Yeah, just she's still not playing. A couple Caitlin Clark things here. I know she gave away a bunch of school supplies this week in Des Moines. They're opening it up, and I believe this is a combination with local company Musco, but those basketball/soccer courts are going up in a couple more Des Moines middle school and elementaries. We have them here in Oskaloosa. We have several of them in Ottumwa, and I know several communities around. And that's a really good partnership with Musco and the school. And then I know in Des Moines they're partnering also with the Caitlin Clark Foundation. So even though she's hurt, even though she's not playing as much or what she'd like to, she's still doing what she feels is her responsibility / her job, and giving back to the community that helped her so much.
Yeah, she's always giving back. She's all over the place, commercials, media, donations, things like this. Back with the team for the game tonight. She doesn't stop. And then, speaking of her teammates, Sophie Cunningham, I don't know if you saw, she just signed a deal with the podcast. I forget who the guy is, but they signed with the Volume Network. So of Colin Coward's Volume that he started a few years ago. So Sophie Cunningham, she made the most of that little incident with Connecticut a while back. She gained, hundreds of thousands of followers on all the different platforms. She's like over 1 million on all of them now. So she's raking in the money. You stay close to Caitlin, and good things are going to happen. Yeah,
it's just, and it's smart by her. She's her flame and her fame is rising right now. Juice it for everything she's got. I mean, you only get so much time, and it's a short window in your life, and hopefully she does really well with that podcast, and she's got she's got a great head start on it, but that's also something she could do post-career for a long time, and, to supplement that, to maybe not have to get a regular job or whatever she wants to do in life, but just, put her foot into the podcast world, and then she could go be an analyst. And, it's just a start of post-career employment.
Yeah, that's right. It's a long-term thing. Her career, I forget how old she is exactly, but say her career is about half over, give or take, something in there. Yeah. She's been in the league for a little while. So it's a good move by her. And if she does good at that, like you said, maybe she could get on some other networks to call games or anything else for that matter, maybe get some commercials. She probably already is getting some commercial deals in Indianapolis and then her home state of Missouri as well.
Yeah, because she is from Columbia, right there at Missouri. Where the University of Missouri is, and she played at Missouri, but I believe she is from Columbia right there. So,
yeah, she definitely is. So she's taking advantage of it. Stay close to Caitlin, defend her, and those dollar bills are going to come in.
Well, and then right or wrong, she wouldn't shock me, when they start making a new round of Caitlin Clark State Farm commercials, kind of her number one sponsor. I could see Sophie Cunningham slipping into a little cameo spot for some of them. Yeah,
maybe Caitlin's walking into danger or something, and Sophie runs up and protects her.
Absolutely.
You're right. That'll probably happen. So we got it. I think Pat McAfee's trying to get her on the show, which that'll be another big hit if she goes on there. I don't think she's been on there yet anyway. It's been a while since I've actually watched McAfee. But anyway, she's taking advantage of all the opportunities coming her way now.
All right, now kind of moving on. Starting Friday, it is August. Football is here. We talked about Iowa State last week because they started a week earlier than everybody because obviously they play earlier. But everybody's at camp now. Everybody's reporting. Actually, I was listening to Travis and Ross this morning on the way back from Carroll, and even you and I was starting today. So about every level is going on right now, and camp is starting. Hope springs eternal for everybody. Everybody's in the best shape of their life. Everybody's ready to go. And it starts to get your blood flowing. It's not, I know what this is. I've been there, done that. And I was actually just watching a Iowa State thing. And they were checking into the hotel for the 2 weeks, and they stay in a lot nicer hotel than when I was there. We stayed at the Microtel hotel there on the west side of Ames, right when you come in, or east side of Ames when you come in off the interstate. Now they're staying at the Gateway Iowa State hotel there. But is what it is. Money's much higher now. They take more into account, and maybe they get a discount because it is a university hotel, I believe. But they stay in a hotel for a couple weeks, and I know the NFL. I don't know if the NFL used to. I remember a big thing. The Bears always went to Platteville, Wisconsin. The Chiefs used to go up to Wisconsin as well. I know the Chiefs go to Missouri Western up in St. Joe. They are still one of the only teams that do leave their home turf for. But most teams stay at home because they all have an indoor facility. They all have all the stuff anyway they need right at home. They don't have to go away for camp. I believe, Dallas, the Cowboys used to go to California and go. It was just kind of weird how some of them traveled and some of them didn't.
Yeah, actually, I think the Rams went to Hawaii this year. I'd have to double check on that, but I thought I heard that the Rams went somewhere, a destination camp. But yeah, you're right. Most of the teams now they stay close to their facilities. Obviously, Dallas has Jerry World, and they have everything else there that they need. So, yeah, camps have been going on. I've been paying attention to depth charts. There's been some movement with some players I'm keeping track of. That'll really pick up next week. But, yeah, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Iowa time, we've got the Hall of Fame game, Chargers, Lions. Hendon Hooker's going to play a lot, and Trey Lance. It sounds like he's going to play at least the whole half, maybe into the third quarter. So there's going to be at least a few familiar names that we know. Be interested to see. I mean, Trey Lance he's trying to just stay in the league at this point.
Right. Yeah, he's putting tape out for every team. He just wants to make that 10-year career. Get your chance when you have the chance, but he just wants to stay in the – you're 100%. He's just trying to stay in the league.
Yeah, try to make the roster. If you don't, put good film out there for another team. It's not for by all accounts, he's a good guy, studies hard, all that type of stuff that you hear about. It's just his talent was overrated coming out. So he's a guy that's just fighting to stay in the league right now. And a lot of these players are. I mean, the Hall of Fame game, it's an extra preseason game for these teams. So it'll be a lot of the lower end players on the roster that are going to get a lot of time. So the football might not be very good, but I'm sure we're going to see some guys flying around trying to make some big hits or make a big play. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some burnt coverages or maybe even some penalties for unnecessary roughness after the whistle.
Yeah, because there's going to be some kids that play on tomorrow night, and that will be the only time they ever put on an NFL uniform. They'll get cut. I don't know when cuts all happen or whatever, or they'll get hurt and get cut and never get another chance. Just there will be kids tomorrow night that put on the Cowboys uniform or whoever in their first preseason game, whatever, and that is the only time they ever put on an NFL uniform in an NFL locker room. And that, I don't care if they ever make it or not, that is an awesome accomplishment, and hooray to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's very few people could say they've ever done that, even if it's just for a couple plays that they get in the game. Yep. And then, of course, you got the flip side where you've got all the established starters that want to play. I mean, twice in the past week or so, Dan Campbell had to cut practice short because they were too physical. And
right.
if Dan Campbell's cutting practice short because you're too physical, you might have a little problem going on if that's what he's doing. So that's the Lions' way, but it's a fine line. Obviously, most of the main starters, if any of them, they're not even going to dress tomorrow night.
Nope. Yeah, I'd say it's just the risk reward is not there. This is an extra preseason game, as you said. This isn't one of the two regular ones, right?
3 now.
They get 3 now. Yeah, 3.
Yep.
It's going to go to 2, but yeah, it's 3 right for this year.
Yeah, three for right now, and the next one for these two teams. But yeah, like I said, Dan had to cut a couple practices short, which that's really saying something there for the Lions. And of course, the flip side is a lot of teams struggle now. How much do you play starters at all? Sean McVay doesn't want to play starters at all in the preseason, whereas Andy Reid will. Andy Reid likes to get his starters in there. A lot of people think Andy Reid's a player's coach, which he is, but he runs probably the toughest offseason of any coach still. He's still old school in that way. So the Chiefs guys are gonna play a lot in the preseason, whereas the Rams, for example, a lot of their starters will hardly play at all.
That's what on one of the talk shows out of Des Moines, they have Mitch, play-by-play guy, can't remember. They have him on every day during camp, and it was 100 degrees, felt like 100 degrees yesterday, and they went outside. They went hard. They went for 2.5 hours, and they said Mahomes and Kelsey, and they were doing it all. The part, obviously you don't take every rep just because no one takes every rep, but they did their allotment. They weren't sitting in the shade or in the cooling thing. They were out there doing their job, and as you said, that they've always done that, and that's why the Chiefs. If you look back at this run of the Chiefs, they start out undefeated, and they don't lose in September. They just don't. Maybe the first game, they lost to Detroit last year, but that was like the first time they had lost their opening game in a long, long time. Vice versa, teams like the Bengals, they always start so slow, and then they got to make a run, and they usually do or get real close. But whatever Andy Reid is doing, and like you said, he has them play. They practice hard. They do what they're supposed to do, and you can't argue it right now.
Yeah, things you can always bet on: Andy Reid after a bye, and Andy Reid in September, early in the season, just like you mentioned. Yeah. They always start well, and you have to wonder if actually hitting, being physical, being in the heat, actually practicing football the way it's played, or at least as close as you can, if that doesn't really pay off for the Chiefs. I mean, the proof is there that it has over the years.
Yeah, when the season starts, September 6th or 7th, whatever day it is, it's somewhere right around there. In a lot of cities in the U.S., it could be 100 degrees. And if you haven't practiced in it and you haven't done things in it, you're not going to play as well as if you have been. That's just facts of life. If you're in Dallas, Kansas City, Chicago, almost every city in the U.S. could be 100 degrees on September 6th.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why the first 2 or 3 weeks of the college football season, sometimes I don't even like going to the games, especially when it's like an 11 o'clock kickoff, because it can be 90 plus and you're just sitting there sweating. It's that early October. Some of those are the best games to go to, because then the temperature is about perfect.
Yeah, we got two. The first game there, August 23rd, is going to be in Ireland, but then we play, August 30th and September 6th, both there in Ames. Yeah, those games are going to be warm, and the Iowa game's at 11, which is okay because you're actually going to be out of there before 4 or 5 o'clock, when it's kind of getting to be the hottest time. But sometimes I've always wanted to switch my seats to a little bit better seats, but every time I get that opportunity, they're on the west side there, and I'm just like, man. But it's a catch-22, because then in November, on a colder day when that sun's going, you feel the sun, and it's really nice on that west side. But August 30th, that sun is beating down on you on the west side. I'm in the southwest corner, and if it's a later in the day, or at least it's not just beating right in your face, it's kind of in the back of you. It's a little bit better than just beating right down on you. But like in November or early December, if you've got a game, that sun's really nice.
Yeah, if you're in Iowa State or Iowa, doesn't matter. You're going to get the hot days. You're going to get a few games where it's the perfect temperature, and then later in the season, you're going to get the ones where it's ice cold, the wind's blowing, and you almost don't even want to be out there, but you got to be.
Oh yeah, well, that's what it was last year. That Kansas State game, it was a big game, and we took the kids and we bundled them up, and I know we were talking about it this year. This Tyler's getting more and more involved in things, and he's going to try football this year and everything, and I'm like, we're going to get tickets again. You still want to, he goes, do we have to go to the really cold games, Dad? So he wasn't a big fan of that cold game. I don't think. And I'll go, well, probably, but I mean, do you have to go when it's really cold? No, but we'll see.
You got to go when you're young, because the older you get, the less likely you are for most people to go to those cool games.
And then a lot of it has to do with what's at stake. Iowa State was playing to go to a chance to go to the Big 12 championship. So that was the biggest thing to me. I'm like, if we win the game, we're going to the Big 12 championship, most likely. I mean, a little bit of the, flip of the coin, and these teams had to win, but it was that last weekend. It was, the Thanksgiving week, and the teams have been playing, and we kind of knew that all these things had happened already that we needed to have happen. So it was essentially win and you get in. I mean, it wasn't 100% sure, but it was pretty close.
Yeah, those are the games you can't miss when you got stuff on the line like that. Okay. You gotta be in there for it if you got tickets.
Well, and that's what you buy all these tickets for. I've had season tickets since I got out of school in 2003, roughly. A couple years there where I didn't get them, but we've had tickets for really since 1998 when I went to Iowa State. There's not been a whole lot of games I've missed at home. And I've watched a lot of losing, a lot of bad teams, and some really good teams. But yeah, this is what you spend all that time and money for, and is the reward. Watching good teams, play good teams, and beat good teams, and give your team have your team have a shot to win a championship. And that's what they did last year for us.
Yeah, when we were younger, the coldest game I can remember being at was the green out for Sean Green, Iowa versus Penn State, where Tyler Sash had the big interception at Penn State at the end of the game. Iowa goes down and kicks the field goal to win, beat Penn State at Kinnick. We rushed the field. That was a miserable game to be at, but the ending, the last couple minutes, it made it all worth it, sitting in the cold all night.
Oh, absolutely. And, when we were that last game, and same thing, we rushed the field because Iowa State was essentially going to the Big 12 championship. I think, was it 100%? No, but it was like 99% because everything had happened that we needed to. Everybody rushed the field because even if we didn't go to a Big 12 championship, we'd still won 10 games, which Iowa State had never done. I mean, so that was a big thing. That was one of the big knocks on Iowa State as a program. They're only one of like 2 or 3 programs in the country that have never won 10 games. And just, celebrate with friends, celebrate with fellow people that you've seen it. You don't know them, but you see them at different Iowa State events. It's funny how there is a difference in a football, like when you go to a bowl game. And then last year was this first year where I went to the NCAA basketball tournament up in Milwaukee. And it is a different crowd. You talk to people and we've had basketball season tickets for 50, every game inside of Hilton ever, the older people or whatever, or had season tickets to Hilton for 30 years or whatever. And I go, well, do you go to football games too? No, we just go to basketball. We like basketball, and then you go to a bowl game and if people like me, I had football tickets forever, but I've never had Iowa State basketball season tickets, Now, if I lived in Ames or I lived in Ankeny or even a little bit closer, I probably would. It's just a little bit too far here in Oskaloosa. I know I don't have a problem going up there to a game or two, and I went on a weeknight. But if it's a 8:00 start, done at 10, you're not home till midnight. I mean, not that you want to do it. It's okay to do it, but I don't want to do it once a week, like you would have to on a regular. Now, if every home game was Saturday afternoon or whatever, that'd be a different story. But some of the best games are Monday night at 8:00. Big Monday.
Yeah, living in Oski, it'd be too tough to have season tickets. I mean, you could, but you'd have to sell a lot of them. Yeah. But you're right. You can still buy single season or single game tickets. Yep. Get on StubHub, whatever. You can go up for 2 or 3 games, like you said.
And that's what we did last year, and it was fun. But it's and then you see the certain people that are at everything. It's like, do you ever work? And they're probably saying the same thing about me. And Steck is one of those people. And Mark, we see him at every football thing we go to. He was up in Milwaukee. It was just. And they say the same thing about me. And then, we see each other at different concerts, and I'm sure he's going to Hinterland. I'm not going to Hinterland this weekend because we're headed off to Branson. But that's coming up this weekend as well. But yeah, it's just when you're about the same age and you kind of like the same things, you run into those same people over and over.
Yeah, you're right though. The football crowd, the basketball crowd, sometimes they're a little bit different.
All right, next thing I want to talk about, and this is, obviously we wish him the best, and I think the outcome is as good as it can be right now. But Deion Sanders, there's a lot of rumors. He wasn't in Colorado all summer. There just wasn't much communication, and there was a lot of questions. Well, has he just lost the fire? His kids aren't playing for him anymore. He lost Travis Hunter, his best player. There was just a lot of question marks / rumors, and he comes out and that he had to have his bladder removed, rebuilt, doing well, say he's cancer free. And he has battled health issues. This isn't his first health issue. He's got a toe amputated. He's had blood clot issues. So he is not the healthiest person in the world at his age. But glad it's going well. And he kind of made some jokes in light of it. I depend on Depends and stuff like that. But his message was really good. Having a press conference is really good. Bringing his medical team is really good. And his message is great. You need to go to the doctor. You need to get checked regularly because things like this come up to anybody at any time. And if you catch it early enough, there is procedures and there is ways to treat it to make the best of it. He's cancer free right now. It's one of those, I don't know if you're ever cured from cancer because another type of cancer can come. It can come back. It's, like Ryne Sandberg, I know this winter, that's a whole nother, discussion we need to have. He was kind of declared cancer free this winter and was at the Chicago Con, the Cubs Con, whatever you want to call it. But you could kind of see that coming with Ryne Sandberg. He, made a comment where he wasn't able to get to Wrigley as much as he'd like. Still watching, still a big fan. And then the announcement of him passing away a couple days ago as well. I guess your thoughts on Deion and then Ryne Sandberg as well, and then I'll finish with my thoughts on Ryne Sandberg. But how's it going over out there in Colorado, and then just your thoughts on Deion?
Yeah, like you said, it's been kind of quiet this summer of Deion outside of the Shador story, of course.
Yep.
And now we know why. It was, he made a good joke. It was funny. The doctors up there in the press conference said everything is good now, and then it pans to him. He's like, "You can clap. It's okay to clap." He just kind of, made light of it, and that was good. Mentioning Ryne Sandberg passing. I know Danny Parkins, who'd filled in on FS1 this week. I think starting tomorrow, he's from Chicago. He does a 24-hour live broadcast, and they raise money for cancer. So he basically, for 24 straight hours, is on the radio. They're doing a bunch of fundraisers, and he was pretty good friends with Ryne Sandberg, it sounded like, over the years. So even though Ryne, I think, was cleared, like you said, early last year, as we all know, because it basically affects almost every family in America or across the world for that matter, it could come back at any time.
Yeah. How much did you watch? I mean, I know you're a little. You probably don't remember Ryne Sandberg playing a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think he retired. So this was a crazy thing today. I was listening, obviously, 2.5 hours home. We listened to podcasts and stuff. Can't remember which one, but Ryne Sandberg and Harry Carey, first Cubs game and last Cubs game was the exact same. Like 1982 to 1997 or whatever it was. 1982 to 1997, something like that, like 15 years. I thought that was very coincidental, but Ryne Sandberg was a staple. I'm not a Cubs fan. I like the Cubs. But I'm a Twins fan. But coming home or being home in the summers, WGN 120 every day. Harry Carey was talking, and Ryne Sandberg was playing second base, and Sean Dunston and Mark Grace and Greg Maddux. And, the best team the Cubs had in that era was 1984. I think they got upset by the Padres to get to the World Series. I don't remember that when I was 4 years old. But 1989, when they made the the playoffs, and that's when only there was only 4 teams in the playoffs. It was the East and West of both, and that was it. So it wasn't a get in, wasn't 12 teams in the playoffs or whatever it is now. I think there was 4 or maybe 8. I can't remember for sure. But it wasn't very many. And they won. And, they got beat by the Giants, and they went on to be the Giants in the A's World Series. They had the earthquake and everything in 1989. But, that team there had that was a Maddox team. That was Andre Dawson had been added by then. But the Cubs at 120 every day. And, obviously with my name being Ryan and his name Ryne, I know it's a little bit different. But, one of my coaches always called me Rhino, and that's what they called Ryne Sandberg as well. There's a lot of people born in the mid-'80s to the early 90s. If you're a Cubs fan and your name is Ryan, you got named after Ryne Sandberg. I got a guy I teach with in Ottumwa. His name's Ryan. And I would bet a lot of money it was after Ryne Sandberg. I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Everything I've heard about Ryne Sandberg over the past week or so is just the ultimate professional. He hustled, did all the little things right. I think he said he was more worried about the name on the front of the jersey than the back, which is something that's missing with a lot of athletes nowadays. So that was kind of my biggest takeaway from the people that talked about his kind of legacy this past week.
Yeah, and he was the manager at the Iowa Cubs for a year, I think, maybe 2. And then he wanted the Cubs job and didn't get it and went to Philadelphia. Ended up being, an interim manager for half a season or a little bit of a season, and then the manager for the next year or 2. Not very long. It didn't work out, and that happens. But he got his chance to manage in the big leagues. I know he would love to probably do it for the Cubs, but got his chance. And again, just another person gone way too soon. 65 years old. Still lots of time left in his life to watch his kids and grandkids get older. But unfortunately, that won't be the case, and it just stinks. Cancer sucks.
Yeah, 65. When you're younger, that sounds old, and then you start to get a little bit older, like we are. I say, myself, I'm in the beginning stages of starting to get old. I'm not old yet.
I am. I'm there.
But 65 is definitely too young. You'd like to have a person like that have another 20 years or so of life. Yep. And at least one good positive I would think for him is he at least got to see the Cubs win the World Series.
Yep, absolutely. I'm sure 2016 was phenomenal for him, and just they've been good. I mean, really, they kind of fell off there. Just the next year they're pretty good, and then they fell off. But they're one of the best teams. They could win the World Series again this year. I really believe that. They're one of those 5 to 6 teams that could win it.
Let's stick on baseball here real quick, because I know this came up today. I saw that the Dodgers are still the favorites. I think at plus 280 or plus 290 to win the World Series. And then I think there's 9 teams that are bunched together, either 8-1 to 12-1. Okay. Cubs, Brewers, Mets, Yankees, Phillies, Padres, maybe Houston, and a couple others. You'd probably know better than I would, but it sounds like the Dodgers have been struggling, and then everybody else is kind of in the same group right now. I know the trade deadline tonight or tomorrow it ends.
I think it's tomorrow. I know that the Twins traded their closer, Deion, to Philadelphia. That will help Philadelphia. He's good. Stinks for the Twins. They're selling. They're trying to. They're trying to sell the team right now. So I don't know if trading all your players. I heard also on the way back, Muggsy says that there's talks that Correa is going to go back to the Astros. They're going to trade Correa back to the Astros. So I don't know if they're just trying to get all the money off the books to make it as cheap as they can, and then whoever buys it can buy it and then can do what they want with, if they want to start spending more money, they can. But I guess make it as no long-term contracts, no rich contracts. Because I know I saw, Correa's contract is really big. But Duran is almost $5 million, which is pretty big for a closer, I guess. I don't know the economics of baseball, but and then the other thing with baseball is the impending work stoppage, whether it's a lockout / strike after the end of next season. And Bryce Harper and the commissioner got into it. I guess the commissioner goes around all 30 teams and has a meeting and And Harper wasn't real happy with what he had to say because I think the owners really want a salary cap. And baseball is the only league in the North America that doesn't have one. And so I think it's going to be pretty contentious now. But that's why you collect a bargain. The owners want a salary cap. Okay, they're going to have to give up something. So it's a bargaining chip, and that's what it should be. But the one thing that cannot happen, I don't think, and I know a lot of people are worried about it, is baseball has made a lot of good moves lately in making the game better for fans. It's much faster with the pitch clock and some of the rules. They can't go back now. They made some smart choices. They get a strike that would cost, half a season or a whole season. It would just kill baseball. It's already struggling as it is.
Yeah, what are some things that the players could get if they did a salary cap? Because isn't baseball a lot of the contracts fully guaranteed?
Yeah, they're guaranteed, and then it's just, the thing that they do is, I think what's happening is the Dodgers figured out how to play it, pay everybody later, and I think they're trying to just get some of the owners are tired of. It is what it is, but the really rich owners are just doing whatever they want, and they're not as rich owners. They're all rich. They're all wealthy. They're all billionaires. But the less wealthy ones that don't want to spend that much money is just tired of not even having a chance.
Yeah, it's smart by the really rich ones, like you said, to take advantage, figure out something that maybe other people haven't thought of, push the money down the line like the Dodgers are doing. And speaking of what baseball's they've been doing the past few years, obviously we got the game coming up at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yep.
Coming I think Saturday this weekend. Baseball's doing these big events, which I think is good. And you might know the answer to this. And me not living in Iowa, I don't know all the reasons that maybe have been spoke about before, but why aren't they doing a game at the Field of Dreams every single year?
I don't know that answer for sure. I know I think they still have the base of that field still there, and they still take care of it. I know the ratings and just that first year could not have gone any better. Kevin Costner coming out, Tim Anderson hit a walk-off home run against the Yankees. Now, I thought the next year they did a really good job of making it like a father-son thing where they had the Griffey, father-son, and excuse me there. Griffey's playing catch, and then they had some father-sons, father-daughters out there playing catch before it, but it just wasn't as good. And then I also think it's not a bad idea to move it around. Now, I think last year they played in a Negro League park in the South. I think that was really good. Now, this Bristol thing, I don't get as much. I know it's kind of cool just to play it in a different place. But there's no baseball significance. I would like to see them do something every year at the Field of Dreams. Just kind of make almost need to make a weekend out of it where you play a game Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but you kind of bring new teams in you can't play a whole series there, I don't think. But, Friday night, it's the Cubs and whoever. Saturday night, it's the Brewers and whoever. And then Sunday night, it's the Twins. And the three closest teams to Northeast Iowa. So, none of them have to travel far from where they'd be going anywhere. And then, obviously try to make it where the Yankees are playing one of those teams just to get that. Try to get, have the White Sox be against one of those teams to get, the Shoeless Joe, influence. And then, try to get, this year be like a Dodgers or somebody. Try to get some of the big brands of baseball and rotate so everybody gets a chance. And but maybe there's not the appetite for that as we think there is. But it would be fun to see it. It is one of my bigger regrets on not going to that game. I wish I would have that first one.
Yeah, that would have been awesome to be at. I know our buddy Vince helped volunteer at that. That would have been kind of a once in a lifetime experience. Now, one thing I wonder about, I like your idea of having a Friday, Saturday, Sunday with different teams. I'm sure one of the big issues is hotels and travel. trying to get there. Where do you stay? Again, these are professional athletes. I mean, how far of a bus ride would it be from Chicago O'Hare to get to the field? I mean, I know it's going to be a while in a bus, but
I'm pretty sure they flew into Dubuque and then bust over.
They could fly in on a private. Yeah, you could land at Dubuque. That's right.
I would say probably a lot of times those big planes can land at those places. They just don't have the facilities to, do commercial airlines. They just don't have the facility. But like where they're not going through the airport or anything, they're just getting on a bus and going. They can take most airport. I think like even Ottumwa can take a plane like that, a full size plane. It's just they don't have the terminals and stuff like that. But they don't need them for that. They're going to get right off the plane and go right on a bus. They don't go in an airport, even if they're getting in and out of O'Hare. They don't do that. And then Minneapolis, and Milwaukee. I mean, none of them are very far. But yeah, you're just going to fly into Dubuque instead, I would assume, or maybe Rochester. I don't know. But I know Dubuque's only about a half hour away. So
yeah. And that's not far. It's just with as many games as there are in the baseball season, it feel like you could do the Field of Dreams every year. And then they want to do these other destinations like the Bristol Motor Speedway. I've seen some where they want to play a game in the mountains somewhere like Montana. I just don't – I think you could have the Field of Dreams in the rotation every single year and then do other destination games because big events like this for baseball get pretty good ratings because it's something different than just the normal schedule.
Well, yeah, and then, I mean, Fox is going to broadcast that. That's the other thing. They have the MLB package. They want those games because they're going to, they had Smoltz and all those guys in their old time outfits calling the game and everything. And anything that you can do to promote your game and promote the past and instead of just a regular game, I just think it's sure not going to hurt anything.
Big events. America likes big events right now. That hockey game between USA and Canada, that was a big event, even for non-hockey fans. So I'm just kind of curious why they aren't doing it there every year is all.
Yeah, I don't know that for sure. I know the infrastructure is really there. Now, have you ever been there, Trevor?
When I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's not right in town there. It is out in the country, and it is a 2-lane road out there. So trying to get 15,000 people or how many ever thousand people they're going to try to get into the stands or whatever to make it worth it, it's not easy to get them out there. I do understand that. It wasn't designed for that. I mean, it is just an old farm that, that's where they shot the movie, and then they've kind of just kept it up. And but, if you were going to get in that, you'd almost expect almost like Major League Baseball to buy it and then just make it their own and then let someone else manage it the rest of the year, the whole place. But you never know. Yeah,
and then that brings its own set of problems in because when you let a big corporation organization, Major League Baseball, then you worry what could it become in the future? Could they ruin it? I don't think that they would. I think there's enough history there that they would do their best to keep it intact and kind of keep that legacy feel to it. But I don't know. It just feels like it's easy for me to say. Maybe it's a good question for Tuna. He might have a little bit of insight on that because, like you said, 15,000 people, lighting, hotels, travel, all that stuff factors in.
Yeah, it's if people were going there and needed to stay the night, you'd really have to go to Cedar Falls, Waterloo, or Dubuque. Those are the two bigger cities that would have enough, cachet and just facilities to house, 10,000 people in a hotel room. That's not even the teams or anything. Now, both those places would have the facilities to house the teams if needed. They've got nice hotels, or even go down to Cedar Rapids. It's a little farther, but they have convention centers and, they're used to hosting teams for different things. But yeah, I don't know. That is a good question, but hopefully they come back relatively soon would be my number one thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. Hopefully soon. And that was pretty special that first time. Like I said, our friend Vince volunteered there for it. And, that had to be, like I said, a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to talk about, Trev?
2 NFL teams I want to talk about. And we don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but the first team I want to talk about of course, is the Dallas Cowboys. Our friend
RJ, listen up.
RJ Voss. I wasn't really going to do this, but then after finding out he's a Cowboys fan, I thought I'd go through some reasons I'm not buying them as a playoff team. When he was on, I know you guys talked briefly about the Cowboys. He's hopeful. He's a fan. He should be.
Yep.
All fans should be hopeful about their favorite teams. You're trying to look on the bright side, not the negatives, right? So I wanted to point out some negatives of why, not that they're going to be a dumpster fire, but why I've got a lot of concerns about the Cowboys this year. And let's just start with reason number one. They got a brand new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. Never been a head coach before. Doesn't mean he can be good, but we talk all the time about first-round draft picks that are busts. Well, half the coaches that get hired every year end up busting and are fired within 2 or 3 years. Now, Jerry Jones doesn't have a long history of firing guys early. He's usually pretty patient, which generally speaking can be a good thing, but the head coach is a question mark. If you look at the running game, they were 27th in rushing offense, a little over 100 yards a game last year. This year, their top 2 running backs are Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. I believe both those guys averaged 3.7 yards a carry last year. So it doesn't look like their running game, at least on paper, is going to be one of the bottom 10 in the league. And O-line, they've had 2 injuries already in camp. Tyler Guyton is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. He's got a bone fracture, their starting tackle. And then Rob Jones, who's a backup guard, is going to be out 2 to 3 months with a broken neck bone. So they've got some injuries on the O-line already. Again, a weak running back room causes for concern, right? And then that leads me into Dak Prescott. Every quarterback benefits from a good running game, but I think Dak more so than a lot of guys. He's coming off his second lower leg injury, and Dak's just not a guy you want throwing 40 or 50 times a game. Most quarterbacks you don't, but especially Dak. So when I look at the offensive side, a brand new head coach, Dak coming off an injury, O-line injuries, and what looks to be one of the worst running back rooms in the NFL, at least on paper.
Yeah, that's not encouraging signs.
Not encouraging signs. And then if we, a few more, their rush defense was 29th in the NFL last year. So if you can't run the ball and you can't stop the run, usually not a recipe for success long term. And if you remember when Dak was healthy last year, they didn't have a good record. The NFC East is better. Dak has made a living off beating up on the Giants and Washington most of his career. Obviously, we know the Eagles are really good. Washington's better. The Giants are still a work in progress. We can't give the Giants any credit until they prove it. But Giants should have a pretty good defense, so the division is better. And then probably one of my biggest concerns, and they traded for George Pickens. And anytime you're a team, what I consider to be middle of the pack or a bad team roster-wise, trading for a diva wide receiver is never the answer. Now, this is an apples-to-apples comparison because Devontae Adams is not really a diva. But remember when the Jets traded for him, I came on here right after. I said it's not going to make an ounce of difference in wins and losses. And trading for George Pickens, it might be good for Dak's fantasy numbers, but I just don't see this ending well for the Cowboys. So those are some of the reasons. They also have had some injuries with 3 of their top 6 defensive backs in camp already. So injuries, lack of running game, lack of stopping the run, a brand new head coach, injuries on the O-line, and you bring in a diva wide receiver, George Pickens. And if Mike Tomlin gives up on you as a receiver, that's about as big a red flag as you can have in the NFL.
Yeah. Mike Tomlin's pretty loyal if you'll do the right things.
Yeah. So that's, and again, if George Pickens has a good year, it's a contract year for him. So are they going to pay him? Are they going to have CeeDee Lamb highly paid, Dak highly paid, and then pay George Pickens? It'll kind of be like the Cincinnati Bengals model, except Dak isn't as good as Joe Burrow.
Right.
And I'd probably rather have T. Higgins than George Pickens because he's less of a head case. So if that's the model they're going for, I mean, if he has a big year, either Dallas is going to pay him or someone else is. So that trade that they made, it's either a 1-year rental or they're going to have to pay him pretty big money after this season.
I don't disagree with that.
So those are just some reasons that I'm kind of out on Dallas making the playoffs. They have some high-end talent, but I think their over-under is 8.5 wins, 7.5 or 8.5. I think they'll finish around 7, 8, 9 wins, but they'll just miss the playoffs. They're not going to be a dumpster fire. They hardly ever are when Dak is healthy.
All right. Another team or no? Or just the Cowboys tonight?
Just one other team, and this is a team that I am starting to buy some stock in. And it's a team all summer I've kind of been ignoring. I'd hear their name or I'd see their logo come up, and I would just kind of brush them off. I'm like, yeah, last year was a one-off year. But let's talk about some positives. I want to see if you can guess who it is. This past season, they had one of the top defenses in the league in all the major categories. They had multiple guys with double-digit sacks. In my opinion, they've got the best cornerback in the league. Most sites that you look at or people you talk to, they've got a top 5 to 7 offensive line, and they've got a Super Bowl winning head coach. And they were a playoff team last year.
And it's not like one of the team. I mean, I don't know.
AFC team, they were a playoff team, but I just kind of ignored them all summer. I thought, yeah, it was kind of a one-off year. I'm probably not going to have them in the playoffs. Denver Broncos.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was a team I haven't paid attention to. The Broncos have stunk most of the time that I've lived in Colorado. And finally, I was like, I got to dig a little bit deeper into this roster. So, like I said, they've got one of the top 5 defenses returning. Yeah. They add Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga at the safety position. They drafted Jahdae Barron, a corner I really liked. In the draft, he fell a few spots further than expected. But Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen, those guys combined for over 40 sacks. They're going to have one of the best secondaries. So I think the defense alone can win them some games this year against some of the bad offenses and defenses. We go to the other side of the ball. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. They also have one of the best kickers in the league, which nobody likes to talk about. But you and I know every year a certain number of games are going to come down to your kicker making a kick, right, or the opposing team's kicker making one or not to win some games. So Super Bowl winning head coach, great defense, great O-line, great kicker. Now we got to get into the question marks. They have some decent playmakers on offense. Cortland Sutton, who just got a new deal. He's a good number 1, but he's not a top 10 or 15 by any means. Evan Ingram's a good receiving tight end. J.K. Dobbins they brought in, kind of a fan favorite. He's had a ton of injuries, but when he's healthy, a good running back. The biggest question marks for the Broncos are they need another playmaker to emerge at wide receiver. And it sounds like Troy Franklin out of Oregon had a good day today. If they can get that, then there's really only one question mark with this team, and it's who is Bo Nix?
Right.
And that's why I'm not – if they had a veteran quarterback, I'd be buying into this roster right now as a Super Bowl ready roster. But I don't know what Bo Nix is. Was last year a one-hit wonder? Is he going to have a sophomore slump? Did he peak last year? So if this was year 3 of Bo and we had back-to-back years of improvement, I'd really be buying into the Broncos. But it's the more and more I look at the roster, I really like what the Broncos have going on.
Well, the thing with Bo Nix is he has a great coach in Sean Payton to teach him everything he can. There's not very many people in this world that are better at coaching offense / quarterbacks than Sean Payton. He'd be a top 5 guy in the world. Yeah,
and when Sean Payton first came to the Broncos, he and Russ almost didn't get along right away. Yep. Russ has an office, and then there was a couple times where Sean would get in his face during a game, and Russ would just duck his head and he'd go to the sideline. Well, Bo Nix was the opposite. Him and Bo Nix got into it a couple times, and Sean Payton said he loved it. He's like, if my quarterback or player thinks he's right, I want him to let me know. Because he's like, I'm not right all the time. I like the fiery power that he has, the competitiveness. So Sean Payton really likes Bo Nix. And another guy that probably everybody knows, Stink, Mark Schlereth, who's been on ESPN and all the shows over the years. He's been highly critical of the Broncos basically every year that I've lived in Colorado for over 8 years now. And this is one of the few years where he's buying into the Broncos too. He likes the defense, the O-line, the things that really matter. Again, it just comes down to what is Bo Nix? What's the ceiling? Can he get 15% better this year? If he can, I think the Broncos are a roster that can compete for an AFC championship bid.
Yeah, they're in a tough division. Chiefs are if Mahomes starts 15 games or more, they're going to be there at the end. And so, just like last year, just get in the playoffs. They weren't, they kind of snuck in a little bit right at the end there, but did they give Buffalo a run or not?
No, I think the first quarter or so was kind of low scoring, and then they got ran out of the building, which that's not the worst thing in the world for a rookie quarterback to make the playoffs. But you're right. The same thing I said with Dallas being in a tough division, I have to keep that same thing going with this. This is the toughest division in football when you consider the quarterbacks and the coaches.
Yep.
And the bad news for the rest of the league and that division is it sounds like the Chiefs may have found their left tackle for the rest of Mahomes' career.
Yeah, I agree. So
and if that's the case, then that kind of sucks because he fell to 31 in the draft. Yeah, the Chiefs may have just got the steal of the first round. Now we have to see him play football first, but all signs out of Kansas City camp is very positive, and their receiving core is going to come back healthy. So this year is going to be very popular for people to pick the Chiefs to miss the AFC Championship game for the first time in Mahomes' career. I don't think I'm going to be one of them as long as he's healthy and Andy Reid's the coach. You just kind of got to pencil in the Chiefs, the AFC Championship game, and then the real question is who are they playing in that game?
Right. Yeah. And that's I mean, right now you got to go, Ravens and Bills right at the top of your list, I believe. I mean, it's the same three teams as last year.
Yeah, those are the top
three. Who's going to be that fourth or fifth team to maybe give one of them a run or upset one of them, and can then however it falls, can you win two that you weren't supposed to?
And if you're a betting person, to win the AFC to go to the Super Bowl, I think the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens are all bunched together like 3 to 4 to 1.
Yep.
You got to have one of those three teams, in my opinion, if you're a betting man. And then you look at the second tier. I think the Bengals are plus 850, and then the Broncos and Chargers are both tied at 14 to 1.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind placing a bet on the Chiefs or the Bills, one of those two, and then maybe throwing a bet on the Chargers or the Broncos as kind of a backup team, maybe a long shot type one. But I think the final four the last 2 years in the AFC have been the same four teams. So you almost wonder if this year someone's going to break through. I think the Chiefs will be there like always, but could the Broncos, the Chargers, or someone different break through to be part of that final four or even the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, and the biggest factor that plays in everything is health. If Mahomes starts 15 games, if Josh Allen starts 15 games, and Lamar Jackson starts 15 games or more, they're going to be all right. But if one of them only starts 4 or 5 games, then the whole thing could fall apart.
Yeah, and all three of those teams, the Chiefs more than any other, of course. We've talked about this before, and I think sometimes people just kind of scoff at it, but those extra games that they've played compared to other teams, those games do add up. I mean, the Chiefs, the past few years, they've played close to 10 extra games or more compared to other teams. That's a lot of extra wear and tear on the bodies. So you do kind of wonder, eventually one of these days the Chiefs aren't going to make the AFC Championship, right? I mean, you would think if they find a left tackle, I don't know if it's going to be this year because this does kind of feel like it's going to be kind of Travis Kelce's last run, and it'd be tough to count the Chiefs out of the AFC Championship game.
All right, last topic here. Have you seen Happy Gilmore 2 yet?
No. Yeah, I am going to watch it soon. My biggest takeaway, though, is some people I've listened that have watched it said, go into realistic expectations. You're not going in to watch a movie that's going to win a bunch of awards. It's supposed to be fun, dumb, good humor, Adam Sandler. But I've heard there's a bunch of cameos in it. Have you seen it?
Yep. Yeah, I've seen it. I've actually watched it twice. It's good. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what people were thinking. I mean, is it a little bit far-fetched? Is it making fun of a lot of different things? Yeah, and does he use his family members? Yes. Does he, is it a bunch of, callbacks to the original movie? Yeah. But I don't know what everybody expected. One, it's a Netflix movie, and two, it's an Adam Sandler movie. You knew what you were getting into, I guess. I wasn't shocked at it. There's some really funny parts. There's really good one-liners. When you see it, we'll have to talk about it afterwards. But no, it is what it is. There's some really good, the pro golfers are really good in it, I thought. Jason Kelsey's in it. It's good. I mean, it's just good. It is just an Adam Sandler Netflix movie. If that's what you have to just go into it thinking.
Yeah, you're not going to watch The Godfather or Saving Private Ryan. I mean, it's a comedy. It's supposed to be dumb humor and cameos and all that type of silly stuff. I did just get a message from Taylor. He said we're supposed to talk SummerSlam, but I was going to say here why as we're finishing up though, this next month I'd like to get Taylor on at some point and talk a little poker. World Series, and just some other general poker questions I have for him, and kind of how the past couple of years have been. But I'd like to get him on within the next 2, 3, 4 weeks if we can.
Yeah, Taylor, just if you're listening and watching, just send me a message, and we'll make that work. I believe he got 6th in the Iowa State Poker Championships over at Riverside this last week. So pretty good.
Yeah, I definitely want to get him on, pick his brain about poker. So we'll get that done here soon. And then, football. I think we're exactly at a month from the first big college weekend. I just saw a picture before we got started. We've got Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, Florida State, Clemson, LSU, Notre Dame, Miami, and then TCU at North Carolina, I think, are the big 5 that first weekend.
Yeah, that TCU North Carolina game, obviously, when you just look at it, you're like, that's not a big deal, but it is because it's Belichick. And I believe it is that Sunday night, like it's a standalone game, maybe even Monday night, because that's Labor Day. Is it the Labor Day night game? However you want to say it.
I'm pretty sure it's a standalone, and I think the Sunday night game is going to be Notre Dame, Miami. I'd have to go back and look, but regardless, there's like 5 or 6 really big games that weekend.
Yep, there is, and that Iowa State plays South Dakota that day. So and then that next week is the Cyhawk week. So so that'll be a good one to get into the Iowa State game, watch it. Depending on when the games are and everything, just get in and out and maybe get back home and watch a lot of college football that weekend.
Yep. It's coming quick. So we're not far from predictions here soon.
No, that's the thing. We're going to have a little bit longer, and podcasts will be longer and maybe a little bit more frequent, just so we don't go super long with them. But again, thanks, Trev, for joining me tonight. Hope everybody has a great week. I know there's lots of people right now on vacation because this is family/dead week for Iowa high schools. Start up again Monday with camps and everything else like that. And then August 11th is when all the fall sports start. Like I start golf and football will start, and cross country and volleyball and all the fall sports will start right back up in Iowa. And the new school season is upon us.
Yep. Enjoy your final days off. School's coming, like you said, and football's almost here. So I'm looking forward to everything that we've got coming here the next month and the remainder of the football season.
Awesome. Again, thanks, Trev, and thanks everybody for listening. Please rate, like, and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast and any other favorite podcasts, Iowa Everywhere stuff, Cyclone Fanatic stuff, KXNO stuff, whatever it is you like to listen to. They're all good, and they all can use your support there. So thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you next week, Trev.
Have a good one.